In this video, I will be showing you how I did this hip padding tutorial using Breastpad, otherwise known as Warden. If this is the video you're looking for, then stay tuned and keep on watching. First of all, you have to look at the measurements you're using. Like now, we're going to be using this measurement, and where the waist here is 29. The hips is 35, the under hip is 32 inches. And so when you're now going to pad up the hip, you're going to increase the inches of all of them. So you're going to add 3 inches to the waist, 5 inches to the hip, and 4 inches to the under hip. So now we're going to have the waist measurement. The waist measurement was 29. Plus 3 will give us 32 inches. Hip was 35 plus 5 inches will give us 46. And then under hip was 32 plus 4 will give us 36. So this is what we are going to be working with, okay? First of all, I'm going to go back to the size book with paper I'm going to use to explain. Measurement we're working with is 40 inches. Of course, this paper I was just going to hypothetically be speaking when it comes to this one. So now 40 divided, this is half. Okay, when you want to do skirt bodies, you are doing half front and then back. So 40 divided by 4 is 10. So we're taking that from this point to this point is 10 inches. That's the highest measurement here. So you just make sure you have the point for your waist, hips, and under hip. So let's assume from this point to this point is 8 inches. Let's just put it as a point there. Assuming your length from your waist to your hip is 10 inches. Let's assume this is 10 inches. So you put a point there. And then you measure from here to here. Of course, this is 10 inches because you're using the full paper length as the hip measurement. And then let's take from here to here, which is your under hip, as 9 inches. Let's say this is 9 inches. Okay, so you know that this is where your hip region is. This is where the hip region is. Okay, from this point to this point. And because we're doing hip padding, you don't need to start drawing the line out. Okay. Now you're going to know where the hip padding starts from. You will take 6 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches for hip padding. Let's say this is 5 inches, that's half of this line now. This is 5 inches, and then you draw a line. Assuming this is 5 inches. That's to take 5 inches from this point to this point. Okay? Alright? This is where your hip padding will start from. Yes, from this point to this point. This is supposed to be where the hip is. That's on the right side of the cloth, of the skirt or gown. Okay, this angle here. Between the line where your waist and your under hip is, you take a half measurement. If between the waist and under hip is about 13 inches, and we'll take it at 6.5. You draw a line here at 6.5. Okay, this is where you start the hip padding drawing, and then you begin to go down like this, where your hip to your, as you see it, between where your hip line down to where your under hip line is, and then you do the same here. You make sure it goes straight a bit, and then you go. I want you to see it. Okay. Alright. So it's that simple. This is the line now that you're drawing out for the hip padding. Okay. Now you go ahead, and from this point where your hip padding is supposed to start, you do almost exactly the same thing. The only one different that this one will be more curvy. So you draw out like this. I don't know if you can see. curve here, you can use a curve ruler for this side, and then the same thing on this side too. Alright, so this is what your hip padding is going to look like. This is without using measurement, but we are assuming the measurement for this. Okay, so this is where you carve out for the hip padding. Mind you, it is two parts now. When you carve it out, this side and this side will be joined together. That's the side that you're going to, what they call it, the front and the back will be joined together. Now this side will be divided into two. Okay, so this is the middle of the skirt. Alright, this point here is the middle of the skirt, and this is the right of the skirt. Okay, let me transfer it into a pattern paper for you to understand, but I just want you to know the drawing and the pattern drawing for the hip padding tutorial before we move over to pattern paper for wider and better explanation. So you actually cut out the hip padding area. The area you want to pad, this is the area you want to pad, so you cut it out. This is what so this is where this is front and then this is back. So this is where you sew it in. This is what you sew these sides together like this. Okay, you sew these sides. Don't worry, I'm going to use pattern paper to explain better. You sew these sides together, alright? Our measurement here, remember that the hip is 40 and that's the highest length, so you're going to of course add allowance for your sewing. 40 divided by 4 is 10 inches, so we're going to add 2 inches, making it 2 inches, making it 12 inches, or 2.5 inches, making it, we're going to add 2.5 inches, making it 12.5 inches. So you have 12.5 inches here already, and you can see I just folded it just like this. And then the length between the hip and the waist and the under hip is 13 inches. We're going to add 1 inch for allowance. Okay, making it 14 inch. 14 inch. So this is where the 14 inches, I don't know if you can see, this is where the 14 inch is. And then, don't forget, we have this to remind us of what we are doing. Now, you have your measurement for your waist, which is 32 inch, divided by 4 is 8 inches. So this is 8 inches. Plus 2.5. Remember, we added 2.5 inch here, so that will give you 10.5 inch. Okay, because we added 2.5 inch for allowance. Then the same thing with the hip. Hip was supposed to be between the hip and waist is 10 inches. Let's take it from here. 10 inches is 10 inches. So. And so don't forget that the original hip length is supposed to be 10, and then you add 2.5 to give you 12.5. And then this other side, which is the under hip, which is 13, allowance is supposed to be 14, but you take it 9, that's 6 divided by 4 is 9, and plus 2.5 is 11.5. Okay, and then you know to put the point for you to understand. Okay, now you can't draw the line yet. Okay, until you don't want to do your hip padding. Now between the waist and the half of it is supposed to be that 13 plus 1 is 14 for allowance is 7. So you put 7 inches for where you want to define your hip line. to define the curve on the hip. Okay, this is where you define the curve on the hip. From this point you start drawing out your hip line. Okay, you start drawing out your hip line down to where your hip is, down to where the hip is. That's at 10 inches. From 7 inches to 10 inches. You draw it here, and then you take it down to the under hip line. Okay, and then you do the same to this side. Are we getting it? And then don't forget that this line that we did here, this line is to know where the hip padding will start from. So we said we take 5 inches here, remember? So we're going to add allowance that we're going to use to sew on this angle and the angle where you're dividing the line from. Okay? Because you're taking this measurement for your skirt, not just for the hip padding. You're taking the whole measurement for the skirt that you want to trace. So the skirt or the gown, or the down part of your gown that you want to sew. Okay, so you're taking this whole measurement for it, at the same time taking measurement for your hip padding. So from here to here, we're taking 5 inches plus 1 inch for allowance. So that will. Okay, 1 inch for allowance. That means this what will remain here is 1.5 inch. Okay, so you draw your line at this point. At this point here, I want to take the same 6 inch. That's plus 1 inch here, and another one here.
Sorry, I lost the clip where I filmed this illustration, but I redid it again on another pattern paper, and I'm going to show you and then use this to explain that one.
Let me explain what I did here. The 7 inches line where I drew this, I drew a line here at the 7 inches here to make it straight. Then I took 5 inch plus 1 inch here for allowance and drew a line down. Remember we said we're taking 5 inch here. Now I took an extra 1 inch for allowance here and I drew a line downwards. Okay? Then I drew this other line here at 7 inch. That's half of the total length that we're using between the waist and the under hip. Yeah. Then when that was done, I now do a curve, a semi-curve here from this point to 2.5 inches. That is the actual length that we took before. Okay, at this point, that dot line that we kept here, I took 2.5 into 2.5 inches. That's where I stopped. Okay, when we took the measurement of this width, it was 8 inches. So I stopped it at 8. And you took the measurement of this, what do you call it? Of this. Gave it about 2.5 inches gap in between the hip, in between this part. I gave it 2.5 inches here and gave it 2.5 inches here as well. That's exactly what I did here. I hope you understand what I am doing here. So before you go ahead and cut the hip padding out, you are going to finish your skirt measurement or your gown the undergown measurement, okay, so that you can carve it out for your material. Because now this is half of the skirt, all right. So you're going to take it and carve it for both your lining and the undergown measurement. So I want to finish up with the down part of the skirt, then get back to you. So I've gone ahead to draw my skirt line.
as you can see, and I want to cut it out. Okay, I want to draft it out. This is my full skirt drafting, and I want to cut it out, cut on my material. Okay, cut it for my material and also cut it for the lining before I go ahead to remove this hip padding part. Okay. So I'm going ahead to draft out the lining. The lining is not going to be full lining, it's half lining. And then the material. The lining is what you use for the hip padding, and the material is what you use to sew on top. The material, I did the front, then this is the back. I put the zip allowance and the slitting allowance. The lining is the same because I'm going to be cutting, I'm going to use it for the hip padding. So I'm going to be cutting it from this angle, that's from this part in the middle. Okay. So this is going to be sort of like one side, like this. That I'm going to show this side against this other side, and this side against this side. So this side against this side against this side. As that, instead of using a front and back, use it as side. So I'm going to come back to the drawing, the pattern drawing here that we used to draft this out. We're going to carve this out, and then use it to carve out on the lining. Okay, so I'm going to carve this out. I use to carve out on the lining the way I explained the exercise paper. So me, I decided to carve it into two. You could have just carved your pattern paper as one, but I carved it into two so that I can have, one for left and one for right, or one for front and one for back. Okay. So you can see this is front and back. So this is like sewing this, like I said before, sewing this to this, like this. Okay. That's sewing this and this to this. When I want to cover for the other side, I'll just turn it like this. So let me use it to carve out like this now. Do you understand? And then when I want to carve out for this other side, because I'm going to be sewing it in this fashion, that this is front for left side and back for right side. Front for left side and back for right side. I put an extra allowance on this because the back is going to use zip allowance, okay, and slit allowance. So that's why I have it like this. So this is when I want to carve it here, like this. And when I want to carve this other side, I turn it this other way, like this, and carve it this way. So I'm using the chalk now to mark out where I'm going to cut out for the hip padding. And I go ahead to cut it. So I'm labeling it here so that I don't mix it up. So this is the right front, and for me this is the right back. When I'm sewing it, I don't mix it up. The other one will be left front and left back. So I'm just labeling it with my chalk. You can just with RB, RF. It's just my own style of labeling so that I don't mix it up. So now I'm doing the same thing to the left side. I just carve it out, cut it, and then label it. So I'm labeling it on LS, that's left front. And then I'm turning this side to label it as LB, that's left back, so that I don't mix it up. Okay, so this is what you're going to use to pad the hip of the cloth. Okay, so what you do here is to first of all sew this end here together. before you pad it, so that to make the padding easy. So you sew this end together, this one like this, the end, this side here together, and this other one, the side two together. So before I sew this side, I'm going to first of all put gum stay on this part here, and just inside it to make it firmer, okay? So I've got my hair to put stay on the lining, like it's easy for you to pad it, okay? So now we want to sew the edge here together. Remember we gave this skirt 2.5 inches width, okay, extra. So we used 1 inch earlier on when we were drafting it for the space between where the padding starts and the middle of the skirt. Now we still have an extra 1.5 inch. We're going to take 1 inch. When we're going to sew this edge, we're going to sew it by 1 inch. Then the remaining half will be for the part that we're going to join back to the skirt. Now this edges here that we're going to join back to the skirt. So we're going to take 1 inch when sewing here, okay, 1 inch sewing here, so that in case the person adds weight, so it's now for us to sew it by 1 inch. Put it together, and this is what it looks like when you turn it round. Okay, so this is the part that you're going to be padding. So this is for the left, you can see. This is the left front. Okay, so this is the side you are going to pad up. So after sewing, this is what you get, this sort of curve. For you to be sure the curve is okay, you take it to your mannequin to just test it before you go ahead to start padding it, okay? So this is what you're looking. You said you have to use it to check if your curve is okay for you to need to adjust it. This is what your curve should look like. So let me turn it around for you to see on the mannequin, okay? So once you are able to get this curve, the next thing is to pad it inside with Breastpad, or you call it what, anyhow you want to call it. So this is actually what we are trying to do. Don't worry, for this sharp edge here, you will iron it. Once you are done with everything, you iron it to get it to look like somebody's real lap. Okay, so now that we have done the hip padding for the two sides, what you need to do is now we are going to be using a breast pad. This is a breast pad. That's the one that has a warden, some people call it warden. It has gum on this other side. Yeah, that's the one that has gum. And you're going to pad I'm using the foam for it anyway, but I'm using, for those who want to do affordable outfits, so I'm using a breast pad for this. And so what you do is to use the pattern that we did to trace out. So what you do is to cut off 1 inch around it, 1 inch out, okay, 1.5 inch, and about 5 of it, so until you get the smaller ones. Let me show you what I mean. So what I did here is that I first of all draw the pattern using this side to draw a side out. Then I now reduce the inch by about 1 inch because I've already used some for sewing on the extra line. So I use it about 1 inch so that I have reduce it here, and then you see there's leftover on this side so that I can use it to draw this other side. Okay, that's how I'm going to go about cutting all of them to the smaller sizes, and then I'm going to do that. So of course it's not going to be as long as the length because I'm putting it inside, okay? So it's going to be, the more you cut out, the shorter you cut out. So the first one will be fat, the next one will be 1.5 inch slimmer than it. The next one will be 1 inch slimmer than it, 1 inch slimmer than each of them. That's how I'm going to go about it.
So I'm cutting it out now.
So this is my first cutout. I'm going to still use this same one to trace out the next one, and I'm going to of course reduce both the length and the breadth by 1 inch. So first of all, I will mark out the shape that I want to cut out. Okay. Then I will now reduce it. Remember, I've reduced it here on this side, you are seeing by 1 inch, so that I know that I've made it shorter. Then I'm going to go ahead and reduce it from the length. That's instead of it to be full, I just take it about 1 inch shorter to measure this other side. Okay. And then mark it from here and cut it. That's how I'll do it for each of them about 5 times. It depends on how wide the hip measurement you took it. So you can see that this is a smaller version of this one. So this is how I'm going to do another 3 of this. Okay, you can even get up to maybe 4 of it until you get to the smallest size of it, so that it's just supposed to lap on top of each other. Alright, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 3 more and then come back. So this is the breast warden padding. This is for one part. So you're going to do this is one, this is for one, and this you do it, you trace again for this side, and then for the right side, and for this other side here. Okay, so now if you don't understand what I mean, I did the first thing that was just an inch, it's like it's going to be half on all sides, but it will now be 1 inch less, and then another one that will just be on top like that. This is what you use in padding to give it that volume, and that's just it. You can see they're just about ½ inch or less than ½ inch away from each other. So what we're trying to do here is that, so what I'm trying to do here, okay, with this thing, this part is to, of course, you're going to turn it back and you're going to iron it. Okay, you're going to iron it on it. So you're going to take this thing and iron it on top of with high heat, because the heat has to be enough to iron it. That's because when you're tracing, make sure you're tracing the side that was gumming on top of each other, okay, to give it that volume. So you iron that, this on top of this, then this on top of this, then this on top of this, and this on top of this. That's simple. And then I will do mine and then come and show you the result. This is after you ironed it on top, this is what it looks like. Okay, you iron them on top of each other. Make sure you give space in between. You can see it in between, so that in case the person wants to shape, the person is at weight, it doesn't affect, and you're going to still using this thread line, so you need space, and you just leave small. Let me bring it closer. You just give it ½ inch space in between when you're adding it, so that this side gets thicker. That's what I did on both sides, on both the left and the right padding. Okay, so I have it also for this one as well. Now when you're done ironing it to gum, you just turn it round back and you see that it's really, inside is really padded well, but it's not really showing from here. Okay, it's not so obvious from here, and it's really padded well. So this is what I have for the both of them. And yeah, so the next thing you are going to do after this is to cover this section. Okay, to cover this section, you're going to go back to the padding pattern paper drafting, and you're going to use it to trace out with the lining again. So I've traced out. Okay, let me get it a bit further. I've traced this, use this to trace this out, okay, and use to cover the side of this part. So what you're going to do is to trace it out with this, and you have your lining that's to cover the padded area. So what you do is to loosen this area out, okay, you're going to loosen it out, and then take each of them. Use this lining, cover it like this, okay. You would make sure when you're tracing it with the lining, you trace and add half an inch to the side, so that the paddedness has increased the width, okay. So you first of all loosen it, then sew on the padded part, okay. It's that simple. I'm going to do just that and then bring it back for you to see it. So, if you do not understand what I meant by loosening it, this is what I mean. Okay, I loosened the other half side, okay, back. That I loosened it from the other side, and then you carve out the part that you carve out. You sew it to cover the padding so that this place does not show. Okay, this is what it will come out looking like. This is what it will come out looking like. This is the side I covered, and this is the side I had stayed. That's the first part that we did. So that's what you do so that it covers it. So we're now back to the lining of the skirt that we cut out. Remember, we cut this angle out of here. This for the right front, I labeled it so that I don't, and then right back is under it. Right back is under it like this. That's for this other side is the right back, and this side is the right front. Then this other side is the left front, and this other side is the left back. So you can see I left back here, and so what we want to do is to sew it back to this. Now, if you notice, if you recall, at the beginning when I was cutting this skirt, I added allowance here for zip allowance. So when you want to now do the front, you will have to fold it back by 1 inch like this. That's take it back by 1 inch like this. This is about 1 inch here, okay, and this other side is same. So you can see that. I don't know if you can see what I mean. Let me bring it closer. Let me bring it closer for you to understand me. Okay, what I mean is that at the beginning, I added when tracing out the skirt before tracing out this part, when I was tracing out the lining. So now you're going to, for the zip and zip, for the back zip and the back slit allowance. So you're going to fold this back that 1 inch away for the back here, and do the same on this other side too. And then you cut it out. Now you cut out this section. Okay, you cut out in between this section out. So this side will be for the back and this side will be for the front. Before you go ahead to attach this. I hope you understand me. Let me do that and show you what I mean. So what I mean is that I'm cutting out this section into two. Okay. So this is it. This is the front and this is the back. The front is 1 inch less wider than the back. Okay. So this is the front and then this is the back. I'm going to do the same to the other side. Okay. So I'm done cutting the front and the back. Okay. This is the front and this is the back for the right. Front of the left and back for the left. So I'm just going to attach the base part that I cut out. Alright, that's the part that I padded that I cut out. Just back to this is right back. So I'm going to just add it back there. And I'll sew it back to the part that I cut out. And do the same here for the right front. I'm going to do the same part that I cut out for the left. And do the same for the left front. I hope you understand what I mean. And for you to sew it easily, okay, you might be struggling with sewing it, like turning it around to sew it. The first thing I did is to pin it, okay? I pinned, you can see it here. I started pinning it first. Yeah. So I first of all pinned it this way. I first of all folded it. Let me explain. Folded this angle like this on top of the part that I want to sew. Pinned it. Okay, folded it, you see here, I folded it this side on top of the material here and pinned it. Then went back to the back, okay. When you want to start the sewing, you start it from the down part. That's from this angle that is down. Okay, you start the sewing from down. So what I did was that I pinned it here, then turned it this way, and for every pin I pinned, I loosened the part I pinned here and pinned it back here so that it can last okay, so that I'm making sure it's smooth and it can last. So now I started pinning it here. That's for the flip side that I want to sew. I took like this one now. I'm going to loosen it out here and hold the two sides that is holding here, and then pin it. Okay, I hope you understand what I mean. Let me show you again with a brighter light. Okay, so now what I mean is that I took this side that I folded this way. I look at the part I pinned here, and I held the two parts here that came here. Okay, this side is where the pin is, and then I took it like this, and I now pinned it here. If you don't pin it first, you might find it difficult to hold it together to be even enough to sew. Okay, so that's what after I'm done, I'm now going to sew all over this side and then turn it back. Okay, so this is me attaching pins. You can see the pins here that are attached. After showing you how to pin it, this is the pin, that's the other, after the other side of it. This is how I pinned it. I started from this down part. Okay, I started from that, like this now. I started from this down part here, this down part, all the way up. So you can see the pin area that I'm going to sew on. This is the pin area that I'm going to sew on. Okay, and yeah. Then this is after sewing it. You can see the second line of the sewing here that I did. Okay, this is after sewing it here, and you can see how it looks. It's just perfect. So I joined the two sides together. You can see here, I've joined these edges together back, and this is half of one side of the skirt. This is half of one side of the skirt. Okay, let's just put this on the mannequin for you to see the entire result. Okay. I'm just trying to use it to hold this thing here so that I can show you better.
This is what it looks like on the side.
On one side, you can see that this mannequin has is a straight cut, really beautiful. So this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You can see, and I let the two sides together.
Now, some people might want this, some of the clients might just want this alone so that they can wear any outfit on it. You can actually make this alone without attaching it to the dress. Okay, but for this one, I'm showing you how you can do this and still attach it to the outfit, that's to the gown or to the skirt, so that it fits the client. Some people wear this alone and wear any clothes on top so that it fits them. Okay, so let me bring it closer for you to see it. The advantage of attaching this to the actual fabric that you're sewing is that it laps on the fabric well, and the client, even if the client is moving, the padding is moving with it. So I've gone ahead to prep my skirt. I'm going to be doing a 6 pieces pencil skirt. You can see it here, 6 pieces pencil skirt. From what I cut, you know it was a pencil skirt. I've already prepped it. I've already sewn the sides. Okay, I've sewn it here. As you can see, the same thing here. This one is the one I cut out for the back. This is the front here. This one I'm showing you is the front, and this is the one I cut it out for the back. So I'm going to, so you can see it. This is 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The same way it's going to be for the back. So to attach the skirt, you have to loosen out this side of this linings. Okay, this side on both sides,
to attach the skirt. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen this side on the lining, not this side though, not the middle point. All right, not the middle point. I'm just going to go about loosening this side and then sew the skirt on top of it. Okay, I'm going to do that and then bring it back for you to see. I've loosened that's the front side now, and this is the skirt. So I'm going to put it under here, do you understand, and sew it. Okay, just like sew normal skirt with lining. Alright, so it will now cover. Do you understand? So that's exactly what I'm doing here. I hope you understand. Okay, so I am done adding the padded lining to the clothes. Okay, so this is the front of the skirt part of the gown, and these are the back. That's two sides of the back. Okay, this is the left side, that's the left back, and the right back. Okay, now what I did here was to sew it inside. Okay, I sewed it inside like this. Let me bring it closer. I sewed it inside here, and then folded it out. So this side is now smooth. Okay, then the back here, I just sewed it on top of the normal way you sew lining on top. I sewed it on top of the good side. That's the side you want to be shown, and then all I have to do now is to flip it. Okay, flip it like this for this side to look like this. Okay, so that's what I did at the back side. That's what we have here. Okay. So that's exactly what we have here. This is the left back and this is the right back, and then this is the front of the skirt. So I'm going to go ahead and now attach them to the edges. That attach this edge to this side, attach this edge to this other side, and then our skirt is just to add the zip at the zip and the slip at the back, and then we are good to go. So let me sew the edges and show you the result on the mannequin. Okay, we are done. I am sewing it together. As you can see, the hip paddedness is showing where I had put the lining under here, and you can see that the hip line that was here is not even showing. It's very smooth. You go down to this area. When you're done, you iron this area so that it laps, like instead of it to be sharp like this, to be lapping like somebody's real lap. And as you can see, it's just looking just exactly the way we want it. There's no line here showing. And the beautiful part about using a breast pad is, unlike a foam, is that when somebody wears it, it does not fold like that. The foam that is used, most people use, but breast pad is just stays exactly the way it is, and it's really, really beautiful. So this is the hip padding tutorial and how you can attach it to the